All right. Can everyone see me? Great. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our pop-up summit today. I'm actually really excited to be able to go first. I'm coming to you today from New York City, downtown New York City. You can see a little bit of the skyline behind me, but I'm going to spend most of our time together today talking about Retail Pride and why we should have it. So I'm going to start sharing my deck. Let me just figure out how to do that. Just give me one moment here. Maybe Alyssa, if you can remind me again which button that is to share screen, that would be great. Okay, got it. Okay, here we go. So today, Retail Pride for the Pop-Up Summit and the future of retail. And so just quickly, why am I here with you today? And so while I am not a proclaimed expert on on how to build a pop-up, what I am an expert on is retail and why we should have pride in it, why we should celebrate it. And I'm going to take you through many of the same reasons why we love this industry, as Janelle started. And stay tuned at the end for details on a quick giveaway. So just a little bit about me to start. I'm currently the Vice President of Stores at Intermix. I do sit on the board of directors of Goodwill for New York and New Jersey here, and would love to talk about that with more of you in detail, because Goodwill does incredible work and puts people actually back to work in retail through the revenue generated through brick and mortar stores. I've led the retail organizations for many brands that you know, brands like Saint Laurent, Bonobos, Tory Burch. I actually grew up at Gap, which has been a great kind of parent company for us here at Intermix as well. And then October of last year, I did release my first book through Lioncrest Publishing, which is the first one that's really dedicated directly to everyone that works in brick and mortar retail, celebrating the work that you do, encouraging the work that you do. And I'm going to talk a little bit about those 10 reasons why. And in 2021, I was named one of the world's top 100 most influential people in retail, and I'm very proud of that. And so to start, this is going to be good vibes only today. We're going to celebrate our industry. We're going to talk about why you would choose to start a business and start a pop-up, but this is going to be about positive energy and good vibes. And so I'm going to start with a quote from my book that says, "It's not a secret that the retail landscape is more competitive today than ever before, and the speed and complexity of the changing economy are not going to diminish." And what's important about this is that we all, every single one of us that work in this industry, have to always stay up to date on what's happening. And that means from an economic standpoint, from a store design standpoint, from a technology, people, leadership, inspiration. You know, we all have to be experts in many different things to work in this industry. And it's moving at lightning speed today. And that brick and mortar retail and how we engage with it has never been more human-centric and technology obsessed at the same time. And I say that because, you know, retail is very much about right brain, left brain, driving results and leadership. And it's a constant balance between being human-centric and technology-obsessed. But we're all under immense pressure, and we have to deliver results, which is kind of, we think about as the what, and understanding how to do it, which is how we engage with each other, how we engage with our clients, our company, our own brands. And I recognize this. It's important to understand that you can't be an expert in one area. You actually have to continue to be an expert on both the human side and the technology side in order to run a successful retail business. And therefore, I believe that there has never been a more important time to work in retail and love what you do and be better at it than you ever have before. This is such an exciting time in our industry to think about how it is evolving, how it's quickly, I'd say, transforming in new and exciting ways, and to celebrate that and to say, to be proud of the fact that there's never been a more important time to work in retail today, and to love it, because our success really begins with our commitment to do it well every day. And feel free to put in the chat. I'm going to swipe back and forth between the chat if you have anything to say or questions while I move along here. And the purpose of this is because the role of the store will always be rooted in great people, and great people are proud of what they do. I often say, what happens when you're proud of what you do? How does that commitment to how you show up every day, that you have pride in the results and the people side of your business, and great people really are proud of what they do. And so to kick it off, just a quick image of the book here. It did hit as an Amazon #1 bestseller right out of the gates for about a month. And I'm personally really proud of that. And here is just an expression of the cover. And the reason I put this in here before we get into the details is because I chose this cover for very specific reasons. So if you've been working in retail for a long time or you're just beginning, I love this idea that we are bright and we are colorful and we are open to all that want to work here, no matter how you identify, what you celebrate. Retail is open to all, and that we should be recognizing that that is a career that makes it very attainable for many, and that commitment that you can make into this industry will celebrate you. And this cover is a celebration. It's an art piece that I had transformed into the cover because I truly believe, as will the other people that you hear from today, great retail is an art form. And this is really a thank you to the industry that is an art form that I have really recognized for many years. So I'm going to begin with just getting some facts straight, because the news can sometimes throw you off your game about what's happening in our industry today and why there's never been a more important time to work in brick and mortar retail. And so to begin, I want to talk about size and scale. Again, I'm checking the chat just in case anyone has any questions. So fact #1 is that the retail industry is the biggest employer in this country. It ranks, and we'll just say, 3rd in the world. But in the US, and this is data from this year already, is that retail supports 52 million jobs, and 32 million people in this country are directly employed in the retail industry. So largest private sector employer, and providing jobs for 1 in 4 people in this country. And the reason I say that is because we are influencing, when we open businesses, we celebrate growth in our industry, is that we are providing resources and jobs to people that 1 in 4 people have in this country, and that there are 4.2 million retail establishments, and always room for more, that are generating $3.9 trillion in annual sales as total commerce. And that we are proud of the fact that we work in the largest industry in this country and have significant influence on the economy and how business operates. Fact number two is that most sales are still made in stores. This is varied based on the product category you might be working in. It does ebb and flow. As someone who works in the fashion space, I also understand, fashion is different than home, is different than beauty, but every part of our industry is impacted by both a brick and mortar component and an e-commerce component. But on average, today, e-commerce is generating about 20% of that total $3.9 trillion industry, which is up from 2019 at 16%, 14% in 2018. And that is, of course, the last 14 months have had an enormous impact on that. But 80% of the commerce generated in this country is still done in brick and mortar retail. And so when you think about pop-ups and how the place sits for that and how our industry still has enormous opportunity for growth, that should give you a lot of energy to say 80% of the revenue on average is still generated in this country in brick and mortar retail. And lastly, first jobs. And so for many of you, including myself, my first job was in retail, was in sales, and in that is where many Americans get their first job. And so to give you this idea, 32% of all first jobs are in retail and an average age of 16. And it supports 1 in 4 American jobs, as I mentioned earlier. And 6 in 10 Americans have worked in a retail job at some point in their life. And I love this. I'm meeting people regularly at, certainly more so at conferences and events until we start traveling again. But almost everyone I meet either worked in retail themselves or knows someone that did, or someone in their family or their children. And that for me is so much fun to say, absolutely. It is where most Americans, many get their first job. And that's an important place to play in someone's career. And so with all that being said, I want to take a moment and kind of a section out of my book and talk about the top 10 reasons why we love working in retail. So I'll start with number 1, which is my favorite, which is we create joy. And when you think about a pop-up business, and maybe you have currently a D2C e-com business and you're thinking about doing a pop-up, the primary purpose, one of them, is to create joy and to celebrate the brands that you have. And I love this quote that, as time passes, it becomes more evident that folks who learn to consistently find joy don't wait to lose something to appreciate it. I think it's just a fun quote as we think about a pop-up business. But what we do know is that most customers, and we learned this ourselves, you don't have to go to a physical store to buy most product. But when you've created joy and you have a team that does that so well, and you create memorable experiences, and the purpose of the store has changed, and it really is so much about joy. And that when the customer engages with the brand on much deeper levels, they go out of the way to come and see you, they enjoy being in the store, that's where the magic happens. And that when you think about one of the reasons we love it and one of the important purposes is to celebrate that joy. Okay. Reason number 2 is that we don't give up when it's hard. And it certainly has been hard. It has always been hard to run a successful retail business. And it's also hard when you think about launching a pop-up or launch your own business. Maybe you're a designer and you're thinking about, how do I grow this? How do I scale this? How do I get this in more people's hands? How can I expand my business? It's hard. But what I love about our industry and the family around us, which I'll mention, is that we don't give up when it's hard. We think about, this might be harder than I thought it would be. Why is this taking so long to get off the ground? I'm getting nowhere on this. Maybe I'm not growing your business like you thought that it would, or you haven't met your goal, or you're afraid of what's coming, or you don't have new ideas. And when I think about this is my kind of mantra, is when you think about how strong you are and how much you love what you do and why you started it in the first place, how hard you've worked to succeed in your accidental career, often, again, for retail, and how proud you are of your team, yourself, and the people around you, that even when it's turned against us, we keep going. We have resources around us. We can make phone calls. We can reach out and ask other experts, the people that you'll see on stage today. We don't give up when it gets hard. And the minute that you think that you want to throw in the towel, you want to do something else, that it was harder than you thought it was going to be, ask for help, ask questions, dig in, find resources, and because we're all here to help to make sure that you're successful. Okay, number 3, we share our knowledge generously. So today is such a good example of how we do this, that Janelle has put together a group of people who our only intent here is to share our knowledge and to help you grow your business, launch a pop-up, and that we take pride in celebrating our knowledge generously. And that you may have met people along the way who call themselves experts, and who keep their knowledge kind of close to their chests, as I would say, that they might be afraid to share what they know or fear that someone's going to steal their ideas. And in retail, it's the exact opposite of everyone I know, that we really do strive to make genuine positive difference and to share and teach what we've learned along the way. And this investment that we have in training in our retail environments is where teams gain access to ideas that they may not have otherwise discovered. And so training is, of course, always an important component of any business, retail or not. But sharing your knowledge generously, teaching people around you, being a mentor to others, finding opportunities to write and speak, and to share what you know is, for me, one of the reasons why we love working in this business. And you will likely find other people in your community who are willing to do the same. Okay, number 4, and I know this is a fan favorite for many people that are opening pop-ups, is that visual merchandising matters more than ever. And one of the reasons why today, I think pop-up business, brick and mortar retail in general, is that it is difficult to have the full expression of a brand and its creative energy, its drive, its how it's inspired, creating kind of that human connection is where it's hard to do that on a website. It's hard to do that on Instagram because you're just doing it through imagery, but or maybe chat. But visual merchandising is the full expression of your brand in a brick and mortar business, and that it has not mattered more than ever to create that environment. Whoa, there we go. And so why does it matter? Again, visual merchandising allows you to dream and play and have fun and be your most creative self. It's where you use your uniqueness and personality. When I mentioned earlier that retail is an industry that's open to what all of that brings is the joy and the creativity that people bring into organizations. And visual merchandising is where you can express that. And so it doesn't matter what role you play in the store, what company you work for, what you sell. Visual merchandising should be part of your unique toolkit. And think about what that expression is. What visually are you trying to say? How do you want people to look? How do you, from a dress code perspective, potentially, or it's a free expression. What do you want store fixtures to look like? The color, the shape, the sound, the energy, the smell, all of it is a really unique way to express your brand. And this is where I really believe that it matters more than ever. Okay, number 5, we are all part of a vast retail family. So when we think about how we share our knowledge generously, there is the idea here that we are all part of a very vast retail family who typically stay connected for decades. In my book, I have about 30 people that I gained some inspiration from and quoted them, some of whom have been part of my friend circle for over 30 years, and that they are part of my family. But all of those relationships started in retail. Either we were peers or they worked on a team of mine. And I recognized that vast retail family is what keeps us all going. It's, again, who we ask, how you can gain knowledge. And it's one of the reasons why we continue to work in this business. And when you think of the many teams in your life, to be proud of the one you call your retail family. And I certainly have a retail family that is much bigger than my genetic family, because it spans the country, and there's, I've hired hundreds of people, and I really do pride myself on my retail family, and that you are among a prosperous, powerful, hardworking group of people who lead multi-million-dollar businesses. And we all do. We all think about the power, again, of the size and scale of our industry, and that we are among this group of 40 million people in our retail family who lead multi-million-dollar businesses and have significant impact on the economy, and that we have an incredible network of talent. And what I encourage you to do as part of this reason is, tell someone how proud you are, and inspire a future leader to choose the same profession, and invite someone into our family and say, while you may not have had any experience, I'd love to teach you. I'd love to bring you along. I'd love to share what I know. And that is where careers begin. It's where great leaders are remembered. And that vast retail family is an important message to share with everyone around you. Okay, I'm just checking the chat again. Okay, keep going. Number 6 is every day is different. And if you think about those of you that work in stores today, and why you love working in retail, this is such a fun reason to say, you know what, I don't work in an office. I work with different people every day. I meet strangers every day. I engage with interesting people, maybe from all over the world. One day is maybe it's about visual merchandising. One day it's about back of house operations. Maybe today I'm having touch bases with my team. Tomorrow I'm going to do something else. Maybe there's a surprise visit. The list goes on. But the idea that every day is different is actually one of the reasons why we love it so much. Every day we wake up and say, what's today going to bring? What business can I do? Who am I going to meet? And that's really something that we celebrate, and that you never know where the day is going to take us. Who will or won't walk through the door. We've had some months over the last 14 that there were months that we were closed. There were months where we had very little foot traffic, and you have to figure out how to make it happen. And so every day is different, because maybe you have a lot of traffic, maybe you have no traffic, and how are you still going to achieve those goals? And we hit them face on, and we certainly don't give up. And it's one of the many traits that we have in common. I've had many career conversations with people who wanted to go from stores to corporate. And for some people, it's absolutely the right choice. It is their passion to maybe be on the buying team, finance team, planning, store operations, HR. There's a lot of great corporate opportunities for every brand. But some people really love the store side, and that's where their energy comes from. The fact that every day is different, that you don't sit among the same people every day, and to recognize that of like, what actually are you really inspired by? What are you really good at? And what would make you happiest? Because I've also seen where someone career path to the office where every day is not as different, and you kind of have a specific focus, and they didn't always love it. So I would think about that as you think about your career of stores versus corporate, and to celebrate the fact that every day is different. Number 7, we are moving right along here, is that we are mostly self-taught. And I say this because our industry is not one that says you need a specific college degree to be successful, or that you had to come from a certain level of experience, or that work for certain brands make you better at doing your job than another. We learn how to do this business well by doing the work and putting the work in to make it happen, to learn that knowledge, get that knowledge shared generously by people working around us, and recognize that, you know what, I may not know what I'm doing, but I'm going to learn it. And that it might be self-taught, but I'm proud of that. I'm proud that I've learned everything I know about how to run a brick and mortar business by doing the work and by doing it on the job, and to not be ashamed of that, because there are other industries where it does require a certain degree or a certain education or a certain level of experience, because there are specific skills that you need to have. And this is where I say, like, break that apart and recognize that we are often mostly self-taught, but we've taught ourselves so many things. We've taught ourselves visual merchandising expertise. We have to be an expert in human resources and employee relations skills, certainly over the last year, more than ever, that we have managed through COVID. And that required extensive human resources, employee relations skills, empathy, curiosity, to do that well. And no one knew how to manage that last year. And to say, hey, I had to figure it out, and now I'm an expert at it. You have to be really great at operational knowledge. You have to love the product that you sell, whether you knew about the product prior, or maybe it's a new collection, for example. You learn to love the product that you sell. You have to have the ability to motivate a team, and you have to have a passion every day for service and for serving others. And that we can be self-taught in how to serve because you learn certain skills, but the passion for doing it so well is where that expertise comes in, that pride comes in, and say, you know what, people really, they follow me. They have seen what I do, and they've kind of copied some of my expertise. And when you know that you've grown up learning how to do that, and then you've inspired others to do the same, and you've taught someone else, that is certainly a winning formula. And so this is a quote here: in a self-taught industry like retail, we all have the opportunity and responsibility to shape future leaders by creating positive and inspired teams who can go on to highly successful retail careers, even if those careers are accidental. And I do take that responsibility very seriously, that all of us that have leadership expertise is that we want to share it and inspire and teach and bring everyone along with us. Okay. Number 8, the love of the $1 million hustle. We're on our last 3 here. And this one, I think people find kind of humorous, but it's true, is that whether you are in sales, in leadership, in corporate retail leadership like myself, we love the $1 million hustle. We love the idea of growing it from $2 million to $3 million store. That I have a personal sales business, maybe that, I sold 500,000, I want to get to $1 million. I sold $1 million, I want to get to 2 million. If you've worked in luxury, you certainly know that's an important conversation, but we love the hustle. We love, same, every day is different. We get up, ready to go, ready to make money, and celebrate the fact that we love the $1 million hustle. And but no one can hit these $1 million targets individually or as a store without hard work and a smart strategy and a laser sharp focus. And whether you work in $3 million store or $30 million flagship, it's a complicated business that requires a wide range of skills. And I say, call it whatever you want. I call it the $1 million hustle, and to be proud of it. But I think sometimes bigger volume looks like it's going to look better for you as a leader, or that you want to run a $5 million store instead of a $2 million store. They're all multi-million dollar businesses. They're all complicated. The size of the team just might be different, but the importance of that business to the store is just as important to the company. Even within my own, there's a large variance of highest volume to lowest volume, but they're all important. Every store is important. Every sale is important. Every hustle, every ability to grow your business is part of this hustle, and to be proud of it, and that hitting those next benchmarks are how we keep growing. Number 9, last 2, we create friendships that can last decades. So this is, different than what I mentioned before of a vast retail family. These are people that I believe, because we have shared experiences in our careers, that we create friendships that can last decades. And that may mean you've met someone, but they go on to do completely different industry outside of retail, but that friendship lasts forever. And that we continue to grow and we continue to expand our friendship, and that these are shared experiences create friendships that can last decades. And that's one of the reasons that we love working in it so much. And that there really is something special, about all of the reasons I've talked about, but those lifelong lessons are part of, what I call like the most beautiful part of my career. And that those good relationships or others in our vast family are also necessary as you grow your career. And so what I also would like to reference here is the importance of networking and kind of thinking about growing your network in thinking of it as a garden that you're constantly feeding it, you're watering it, you're taking care of it, you're managing these relationships just as you were managing the plants in your garden, and you are giving them energy and light, and that you are offering your knowledge, your wisdom, but those friendships and this network is what will really serve you well in the future. So if you think about opening a pop-up business, the resources that you need may come from your friend network, they may come from your retail family, they may come from strangers with expertise, but all of these require energy. And as you look for those next career opportunities, the fact that you've put in so much effort into these relationships over the years will serve you very well. From my own personal experience, having great relationships with recruiters and other technology partners and industry experts all around has served me very well in my career. And I encourage everyone to take the opportunity to do outreach, to connect on LinkedIn or social, whatever you can do to build these relationships, because they will be a really important part of you building your business. And number 10, and then we're going to save the last 10 minutes for Q&A and giveaway. But for many of us, retail is an accidental career. And, if this idea, as I've met hundreds of people, thousands of people probably, and hired hundreds of them, and that they often kind of sit down in front of me and say, well, I never really planned to do this. Or they say, well, I just work in retail. And you don't really go to school and you think about, wow, when I get older, when I have a career, I'm going to land a job at the mall, because that's not always how it starts. That it's often a part-time job in college, or there's some other reason why you ended up working in it and you fell in love with this industry. And to never forget the power that you have, again, the impact that you have, the impact that you have on the brands, maybe that you're building personally, the brands that you work for, whatever that looks like, recognize the power of the fact that it may have been accidental, but I love it. And I encourage everyone to say, when you fully commit and make the decision that you're proud of what you do, it stops being accidental. And when it stops being accidental, it becomes intentional. And you then can say, I intended to work in this industry. I may have started it by accident, but now this is my career. And what happens when you do that is that you become much more intentional about your networking abilities, about the brands you choose to work for, the people that you choose to work for, the choices that you make, because this is now your career. This is what you're going to do. And I I don't want to say discourage you from saying that it's accidental, because you have to recognize the fact that it may have started that way. But when it's intentional, you're going to make great choices, and you're going to build your career that it feels much more with much more positive momentum than if you kind of consistently thought about it as an accident. And so for the last part here, I have offered to give away 10 copies of my book. I have a website for the book called retailpride.com. And I would like to offer the first 10 people that both subscribe on my website and text me with your name and address. I will happily send you a signed copy of my book. You'll see it in the bottom right-hand corner of the website. It says, text me here to share your retail pride. Text me your name and your address, maybe why you have retail pride, what you, maybe your biggest takeaway from today, our time together. And I would love to send you a copy of my book. So the first 10 people to do that will get a free copy. And my challenge to you is, what can you do this week or next month to change the conversation about retail pride and to pay it forward as you build this magical pop-up business that you're dreaming of and learning about today. We all have the opportunity every day to pay forward our pride, to pay forward our commitment to this industry and doing it well. And I say change the conversation because there can be negative conversation about Amazon or e-commerce growth or the demise of brick and mortar retail or the empty real estate that we see on the street, certainly here in New York City. But don't let that discourage you, because what's going to happen is that we are going to recreate this business as the customers come back and you build new ideas. This is where this success is going to come from, is that you've changed the conversation about retail and why you're opening this business. And so with that, I am going to stop sharing. There we go. And happily answer any questions that you might have or feedback or anything else that you've got here for our last 15 minutes. I see some people texting in, which thank you very much. I appreciate that. Great. Looks like I have 2 right now. So keep those going. We'll have those come through. Do we have any questions at all? I'm going to look at this Q&A. Great. There's another one. Keep that coming. Awesome. Okay. If there aren't any other questions, Janelle, I can turn it back over to you. We have a little bit of extra time. There's a question from Alyssa in there about what was my very first job in retail. So this is funny because I'm from California. I'm from Northern California. I'm from Lake Tahoe, and I moved to San Francisco to go to FIDM. So Fashion Institute of Design and Merchandising, which is in San Francisco. And I had never worked. I didn't work in high school. And so I said, well, what am I going to do? I was going to study retail management. So my first job was I sold luxury suiting at a department store called Liberty House. And for whatever reason, as an 18-year-old guy, they thought I could sell suits to businessmen in downtown San Francisco. And I had no idea what I was doing. I bought one suit on sale, and I wore it every day after school to go there and sell suits. And I write a little bit about it in the book, but what I gained in that access, or gained, I should say, through that experience, was that just because you don't know the product or you're not an expert in the product, when you're curious about it and when you continue to ask questions, you ask clients, as you build your client book, what do you need? Where are you going? Tell me about your closet. What are some of your favorite things? What is the work attire? And I built a client book relatively quickly because I was really curious and I was a hustler and I knew I could make money. And the other people that worked in my department were men that were probably my age today, but I thought they were really old. And I learned how to sell. And from there, I continued my sales career, and not always in luxury. I went back and I did a department store leadership training program, but I spent many years selling, and a lot of it for Gap when I first began too, when I moved to LA, and have done literally every job from the ground up in the industry today, which is, as you can tell, why I'm so passionate about it. Nicole asked, do you think people should start a retail business online or brick and mortar in the next 3 months? So this is a really, I believe, kind of critical turning point of brick and mortar, because the traffic is picking up. It depends what city you're in, because there are parts of this country where the traffic is well above last year, or I should say well above 2019, and there's huge opportunities. But there are other cities like New York City here where the traffic's not back to 2019 levels. In fact, it's pretty significantly down. So I think it depends what city in the next 3 months, but there are opportunities everywhere to do this well. And a pop-up business or starting a retail business or brick and mortar, the value of that in any city at any time done well is invaluable, and invaluable to your brand, that you doing e-com and brick and mortar at the same time, and the brick and mortar experience is filled with the best possible people that you can afford to hire as a startup, combined with great product, is a winning formula. So I'd say absolutely yes. Depends where, depends what city, but it's all going to be a really valuable component. Megan asked, is your work with Goodwill your conduit for giving back? It's one of them for sure. So I joined the board of directors of Goodwill about 2 years ago, and my purpose for joining Goodwill specifically was because it's a retail business at its core that's driven exclusively through donations, and the net revenue generated from Goodwill is then put into all of the services that are offered back to the communities. So here in New York and New Jersey, there are about 60 different outposts where people can go and learn how to fill out a job application, get temp service helps, how to have an interview, potentially get some clothes. We offer gift cards to go back to Goodwill for people that don't have clothes for work or for job interviews, that may be living in shelters. And so there's a lot of work that happens that supports hundreds and thousands of people here in New York every week through Goodwill. And that was important to me, especially leading them through COVID, about how to navigate shopping for thrift in a post-COVID world. And I thoroughly enjoy my time with them. It's a really nice balance between working in luxury and working and giving back to the community that I live in. So thank you for asking that question. And if you have donations, Goodwill is the place all over the country. Mara Cruz asked, as you get closer to the event, how long can you announce a pop-up shop to your customers? So I think what you're asking, Mara Cruz, and if there's if I'm not clear on this, so that I think there's great value in having a buildup of activity that you can generate through social media of, say, in beginning of June, I'm going to have a pop-up, and I know you follow me. Maybe they're already loyal to your brand. I think 60 days out, 90 days out, it's great to build momentum, to build excitement, to start to build your mailing list, to celebrate what you're going to do, because then that excitement, day one, you may have a line outside, you can do further outreach because you've built that mailing list, you can sell through that mailing list. Maybe you're texting through that, you're capturing phone numbers and you can text about what's coming. So building excitement, I think there's nothing wrong with that. And to recognize that hard work on day one is going to pay back, maybe even faster. Great. Anything else? Okay, Janelle, I think I'll turn it back over to you. We've got a couple extra minutes. Great, thank you, Elaine. Okay, I don't think I have 10 addresses yet. So as the day goes on, feel free to send those through. We'd love to offer that book.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ron. That was amazing. I just love hearing everything you have to say. The passion shines through. And like you said, in retail, we are all about collaboration, because that's the only way a retail business can operate. You need a team. So everything that you're saying, absolutely fantastic. I'm sure everybody listening in really, really learned some things and really has really stressed the fact that in retail, it has to be team effort. You know, retail is your family, the people that you're working with every day. And I love what you said about when you hit those couple millions and you want to hit more millions. And, you know, it's a team effort because the team wants to reach the goal. And I love that. That's what makes retail so exciting. So thank you again. And how about you just leave off with where people can find you, you know, on LinkedIn, your website, and again, let people know about the book one more time.
My pleasure. So you can find me on retailpride.com, and that's where you can text me directly from there. All of my social links are on there. My Instagram is Retail Pride. My Facebook is Retail Pride. Our Ron Thurston on, I see Elaine. Elaine, if you can put that in text on my website, then I can capture it. Thank you. That's the best place to find me. And then I host Saturday mornings with Ron once a month. So you can come it's a networking event. There's a lot of I write a blog. There's a ton of information on that website. Great. Thank you so much, Janelle.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Ron. And we'll keep in touch. I'm excited to see everything that you're up to. And again, everybody, Retail Pride, make sure you guys check out the book. Ron is amazing. Happy to have you here and hope to see you back again in one of our next events.
You will. I'm going to stay and watch for a while.
Please do. You know, we have so many exciting people coming up, so I'm about to intro them. Also, we just have so many people. We were just on Instagram Live, so you were just on Instagram Live, and people were doing all the thumbs up and enjoying what you were saying. So
I love it.
you were also out there. Okay, thank you, and enjoy the rest of the summit.
I will. You too. Thanks.
So everyone, I hope you enjoyed that talk. Ron Thurston, make sure you guys check him out. We have the details right there in the chat. Alyssa has put it up. And if you guys don't know Alyssa is our event director. So this event wouldn't have come together if it wasn't for her. So I cannot take all the credit. She is just doing amazing things. And I just really appreciate it. So Alyssa, shout out to you, girl. So with everybody who's here in the comments, I have actually added a poll area and also a Q&A area. So when you guys get the chance, make sure you guys go answer some of the polls. You know, we just have some simple questions. What kind of retailer are you? What are you struggling with most in your pop-up?
If you fill out that poll, it'll actually help us with our speakers, for they know exactly, some areas to really focus and address on. So that's available right in the chat where you can see polls. So if you look at the chat at the top, you'll be able to see 3 different areas. So please go check that out.
We'll be adding more polls and Q&As as we go. Let me know if anybody has any questions for me. And I love the engagement, everybody. As I said before, if you ask questions, if you engage, we will continue to keep track of all that information. And you might even get some freebie tickets to our upcoming events, because we have a few great events that we are working on. And we even have somebody from Nike who will be speaking at one of our upcoming events for manufacturers. So if you're searching for manufacturers, we have a great event coming up. So keep engaging and you can win some tickets to that. So that will be announced after this. So as we have mentioned, pop-ups, what is going on? And just like Ron had said, what is going to happen in retail moving forward? There's so much information that keeps going out. And I just read an article the other day about Amazon buying up a bunch of dead stores, shopping centers to be specific. And they're in talks with Simon Properties, and Simon Properties is huge. So what does this mean? And they're converting a lot of those into, I believe, distribution centers. So there's so much happening, which makes it say, what is retail going to be the future? Is it going to be e-com? But as we're talking about here today, we know that experiential retail and pop-ups and activations aren't going anywhere. So this is just a great discussion, and we're just so happy to bring all the speakers together today. And, I'll get into introducing our next person here. In the comments, there's so many people here saying, thanks, Ron. Yes, Ron was amazing. So again, thank you so much, Ron, for taking the time out of your Saturday to come speak with everybody here. We really, really appreciate it. Hi, Shakira, Girls Room by oh my gosh, I am so sorry. I'm trying to say it. This is a very long name. Di Simone, I believe is how we pronounce. Wow. Okay. Simone. Okay. I love it. So, let's just get into our next speakers. All right. I am just so excited to announce Barry Goldwar and then also Laura. So Laura is just awesome. She's who connected me with Barry in the first place. So shout out to Laura, without Laura, we wouldn't even be, partnered with popupshops.io. So whoop, whoop, shout out. Just like Ron said, it's all about connecting and connecting. And like I always continue to say, it is a group effort to put this event together. So coming up next, we are going to have a great discussion for those who really are serious about pop-ups. So Barry and Laura are going to give us the 101, the 411, whatever you want to call it, the whole shebang on what you need to know for pop-up success. So this is going to be amazing talk. Barry and Laura have done a lot of these talks where they actually tour and they have spoken at many events together on this specific topic. So I'm excited for them to bring this to the stage today. Okay, great. Thank you so much, Alyssa, for putting that information up. So so also Barry, he is the founder and CEO of popupshops.io, which is our proud partner. So exciting. Make sure you guys go check him out. And then Laura, she's with Brixmor, and Brixmor Properties. It has so many great available options for pop-ups. They can definitely help you out in finding a space. Barry's site can also do that as well. And he has extensive experience himself, selling successful retailer stores that he had. So I'm so excited to get into it. Let's just move right into that. So if anybody had any other questions, drop them in the chat. Feel free to ask any questions as we go, because the speakers can always look at the chat when they're done their talk, and then your question is already there. Or if you get lucky, they can answer your question as they're speaking. So let's just get right into it. Next up, we have Barry and Laura talking all about pop-ups, how to be successful. This is going to be a great one, and how to find the perfect location, which I'm sure everybody would love to know for summer and for the holidays coming up. So let's get right into it. We'll be right back.